and I'm really excited to introduce our guest to you in just a moment. I wanted to first just let you know, Mintigo, we're a predictive analytics company. We work with lots of B2B enterprises. You may have come to our session yesterday where Oracle presented how they're using Mintigo across 8 lines of business today, and we had a great showing at the booth afterwards. So I think you'll really enjoy this. So Mintigo, we're a predictive analytics company. We help marketers figure out where the sweet spots in the market are and provide intelligence so that you can be more relevant to your buyers. We also provide artificial intelligence that helps sales have better conversations, right, to carry that journey on all the way through to a closing event. Today I'm really pleased to share another success story with you. Getty Images, when I first met Jason and his team a little over 2 years ago, there was a ton of change going on at Getty. They had reorganized sales. They were in the middle of re-architecting Eloqua. And the company was sort of at a turning point where, lots of changes, lots of investment, and they were looking for a partner that could help them get more intelligent about how they engage their customers. And what you'll see is that Jason is really a straight shooter. There's no hype with him. He's going to tell you what works and what doesn't. And through that journey over the last couple of years, the success metrics that Getty has seen, one of them, and I think Jason will share others, is almost a 400% increase. It's a big number, 400% increase in the amount of leads that are getting engaged by sales today. So think about the sales transformation, the marketing transformation that's been going on there, and now the results that are coming from this. I think we have a really unique opportunity to hear Jason sort of share the reality of what worked and what didn't work. So I'll turn it over to Jason Widup from Getty Images.
Awesome, thanks. You can hear my team back there, back right, starting the clapping. Thanks, guys. Just give me 1 second to get this figured out. So this is about an hour-long presentation that I'm going to try and do in 30 minutes. And so I'm going to kind of speed through a couple of things. But so here's me. It looks completely different, right? Look at this full beard I've got now. I mean, it's just like, it's coming in so nicely. And this is like 3 weeks of growth, guys. So I try and look a little bit different, but it doesn't work very well. But today I'm actually going to tell part of the story through Jason Widup, a nerdy wannabe soccer star who is 12 years old and who's just starting to figure out girls. So you guys are going to get a little treat in part of the presentation today, and that is actually me at 12, where we're going to talk we're going to talk about like how predictive may have been able to help me at this age and this stage of my life. So, but before we get there, I just want to promote Getty a little bit. I love the company I work for. I've been there for a little bit, over 2 years now. For those of you who don't work with us or don't know us, we take a lot of pictures. So we have over 200 million assets. And when we say assets, pictures, video, et cetera. Over 1 million active customers in 200 countries. We have lots of staff photographers that are embedded in different countries that are responsible for different types of editorial content. We have I think around 200,000 contributing photographers as well, so we're kind of a marketplace for people who aren't maybe a professional photographer or don't work for us, but still take really good pictures and they want to sell them to people. We cover more than 130,000 news, sports, entertainment events every year. We are the most awarded photo business. And we have the world's deepest archive of the most historic, iconic content. So like the Time and Life magazine covers that you've seen forever. We don't necessarily own those, but we represent those. Let's keep going. So I'm going to touch on why at Getty we broke into the predictive space. There was this very specific reason that drove that. And then I'm going to talk about how we leverage it. Then we're going to get into a little bit more detail about each one. So buyer personas, enrichment, list buys, custom marketing indicators, which are really good for us, additional intelligence that we can actually send to sales. One of the biggest things for us is identifying and scoring existing customers that we can cross-sell and upsell to. And then we actually started working with Mintigo on a very interesting use case around credit pre-authorization for our customers. And so using predictive analytics to figure out how much credit we might want to give somebody in an automated way to kind of remove another one of those obstacles. We'll get into that a little bit. And then again, if we have time, hopefully, we'll get to are we there yet, just from an industry perspective when we talk about predictive and how it can help marketing. I'm already out of breath. Okay, so I'm going to do this one really fast, but why did we get into predictive? And so there was a lot of changes going on in our sales org. Our sales org went from one where they managed, an account rep might have a couple hundred accounts, to one where each of our named account reps would own 500 accounts. And a model from where they would only get paid on the accounts they touched and sold to a model where they would get paid on anything their account did, no matter how they transacted. And we have lots of ways for people to transact online or with sales. And so if you think about that, the challenge to marketing was we have no idea which people are going to convert easily or more difficult. So we need predictive to kind of help us figure that out and figure out for this one account rep who has 500 accounts, which people should he be calling? Which people could she leave alone because they're going to actually transact online on their own and they're still going to get that commission. So that's really why we ventured in. In addition, our data was horrible. So we relied on self-reported data and we never cleaned it up, we never enriched it. And when you registered for Getty Images, so we market two sides, so Getty Images and iStock, very, very different companies. But when you registered on Getty, there were, I think, 8 required fields to register. And not to register as a customer, just to get an account. And so, of course, everybody just picked the first thing that was in the drop-down, and so all the self-reported data that was very, very dirty. We did no validation on input. And so we were just left with this huge body of, I would say, just data we couldn't use to segment. We just really couldn't use the data in a meaningful way. And so that was the other reason why we ventured into the space. So here's where we're going to have a little bit of fun. So I have a little story for you. I have 2 kids. One of them's in 5th grade. My son's in 5th grade. So I decided to chaperone a 5th grade sleepaway camp. This was actually just a couple weeks ago, actually. And I had 8 boys in my cabin, all these little 11 and 12-year-olds, and they were talking about which girls like which boys, and which boys like which girls, and who has information about this girl, and who has information about who likes who, and it was just an interesting fly on the wall situation to kind of hear this conversation going on. And I thought, what if I had something like Mintigo, like a Mintigo 6th grade personal edition to use as a 12-year-old, right? And to help me navigate these waters of just starting to get interested in girls, but I don't really understand this whole world. So that's how I'm going to tell you the story of how we leverage predictive at Getty. This should be fun. I'm going to assume that most of you know the corporate reasons for these things. And I'll actually get into some of these in more detail later as well. So let's talk about defining personas. I'm 12 years old. It's just the point where I'm thinking, girls aren't super gross anymore. There's something to these things. Maybe I should pay a little bit of attention. But I have no idea. I have no idea what personality type would I like. What physical characteristics might I enjoy? I have no idea. What emotional characteristics might there be that I might like or dislike? No idea. I needed Mintigo there to help me with that. I needed Mintigo to help me kind of refine that list of potential people, these potential girls in my school, to help me out, kind of figure out which ones of these might actually fit better with me. Then there's data enrichment. I've known these girls for a while. I've gone to school with them for a bit. But I might only know one, because again, I wasn't paying attention to them, right? So I might only know like 1% of what I really need to know about that girl to see, is she a good fit for me? It wouldn't have been great to have Mintigo at the time to enrich that data for me, you know? She likes these kinds of things. She's into these things. Her personality is like this. She's funny. She's humorous. That would have been really nice to have. List buys. Now, you're probably wondering, how is he going to talk about this one from a 12-year-old's perspective? I got you on this one. So here's Bobby. Bobby's a 7th grade bully. But somehow Bobby has this curated list. And somehow Bobby understands at a very high level which types of girls at the school might mesh better with me, because he kind of knows me, because he's picked on me quite a bit. So he knows like what gets me and what pushes my buttons. He'll sell me this list, but it'll cost me a week. Net new prospect scoring. So now Bobby, let's go back to Bobby. He's got this list. But now Bobby says, guess what? Not only can I give you this full list, I can order it for you. And I can order it for you in the way from the girls that are going to be probably the most closest to who you'd really like and who'd get along with you, down to the least. Like, oh. But I need another week's lunch money. But that sounds good to me, because guess what? Now I get to avoid calling a bunch of, or trying to talk to a bunch of girls that are just going to just kind of shake their head. No, I don't think so. So it helps me avoid some embarrassment. It helps me maybe be a little bit more efficient in my approach. So yeah, I'll give you that money. I'll give you that lunch money. And help me out there. Help me figure this out. So custom indicators, and this is one. Again, I'll talk about it, about how Mentigo helps Getty with custom indicators in a bit. So this list that Bobby has, these attributes that Bobby has about the girls, they're very common attributes, right? But what if there's something about me that I really need to make sure this girl likes these things? Does she like to play chess? But more importantly, does she like Run DMC? Because only if she likes Run DMC could we listen to music together at that time. So Bobby, can you maybe create a couple of custom indicators for me and go get that information for me so that I can actually even have a little bit closer idea of the girls that actually might work better with me, that might fit better with me. So lead routing, another one we were probably just trying to say, how's he going to talk about this? I had wingmen. I had wingmen at 12 years old. Some of these wingmen, though, I'd use them to pass information back and forth to the girls, help me out here. But some of these wingmen were off-putting to the girls. They didn't know how to talk to them either. So wouldn't it have been great if I could have said, oh, well, all right, wingman A, your approach is a little bit more kind of engaging. So you go talk to these girls for me. And wingman B, you're a little bit rougher with your approach. You're a little bit more direct. So how about you go talk to these girls for me? And that's how we use lead routing at Getty Images. Just kidding. We'll talk about that in a minute too. Finally, and this is the most important thing, additional intelligence. So now I've got all this data, but I'm 12 years old. How am I supposed to remember all of this stuff? I'm walking up to a girl, Jennifer, and I forget it all. So now I've got Mark Bassani with Sales Coach standing right behind the girl. And he's got a big board. And it's a dashboard, and it's got like her likes over here and just everything that I needed to know about her. And now, not only that, but it's kind of a running list. So as the conversation is going, it's updating me and it's telling me, okay, she just said this, so you need to respond with it. I've got Cyrano de Bergerac standing right behind the girl I'm talking to. That is Sales Coach. And that is additional intelligence that we provide to sales. Final one. Identifying and scoring existing customers. I'm not even going to touch that one at all from a 12-year-old's perspective. So that's how we use Mintigo, both from a platform but also from a partnership perspective. And you're wondering, well, how do you actually use it at Getty? So let's get into that. Did anybody enjoy that? I just want to know, because thank you. I thought it was funny. I was chuckling at myself as I was writing it. All right, so let's actually get real here. So how does Getty really use Predictive, and how do we really partner with Mintigo? And by the way, I love Mintigo. We've been, like Mark said, a partner for about 2 years now. First, the easiest way, defining our set. So as many of you know, predictive companies can help you really define it, not only just from who's your buyer, who's kind of the title of the buyer, what's the industry, that you're kind of most successful in, but then kind of expand that to these 3,000, 4,000 indicators, intent indicators, things about technology that they're using on their website. Maybe there's some commonalities in that would help us define our buyer persona. So understanding these from a broader perspective. And then this spans into, of course, all of the indicators that Mintigo tracks. And so when we look at it from our perspective, I'll just show you some of the things that kind of bubble up to the top. When we look at our best customers, what are some of the things that they have in common? So company revenue, yeah, that's a pretty obvious one. What industry are they in? Again, pretty obvious. Alexa website global traffic rank. Well, that's pretty interesting to us. We're an image company, so we know that people put a lot of imagery on their website. So yeah, that's a good one. Pay-per-click ad spend, that's another good indicator for us. People are doing more marketing, they need more imagery. But then some interesting ones, like international job titles was one that bubbled up to the top. Like, that's interesting. Why would that be? We don't know, but it's in there. Hiring for a lot of different positions, marketing, PR, social media, creative jobs, and then if they use Adobe, of course, probably 95% of our customers use the Adobe Creative Suite, I would imagine. I don't know. A lot of times they're a service-oriented company. I don't know why that is, but it's in the data, so I don't argue with it. Web design, that makes a lot of sense. WordPress, okay, that's fine. NoSQL database, another interesting one. So, I mean, the point here is everyone's company persona is going to be wildly different and probably different than what you would actually think it was when you were coming up with them by analyzing the data you already had in your data warehouse and analyzing the firmographic data you had about your customers. You're going to get this intent stuff and start to come up with a different, more holistic picture of your customers. I'm almost out of time. Jeez. So I'm going to get through this really quick. Data enrichment. As I said in the beginning, we collected a lot of bad data, lies, incomplete data. We trusted Mintigo's data, and anytime we have a match, we would just replace the data that we had with Mintigo data. And I want to get to how we used it here. We use this data every day to segment our customers in much, much better and much more compelling ways. So we have personas just like everybody else. I don't agree with them, but hey, I'm in operations, so that's okay. So we had these 7 profiles, and we wanted to see, could we take a survey? And our profiles were defined by things like, maybe I've got a slide about it. Yeah, they were defined by things like, I have difficulty with new and unfamiliar situations. Well, how do I target that person in advertising, right? I don't think there's an advertising variable that says, like, I have difficulty with new and unfamiliar situations. If there is, let me know. So we had to say, okay, how can we take what we know about these customers and the customers that we know are in these segments, use the Mintigo data and all this rich data we have with Mintigo on indicators and firmographic data, survey a small sample of our customers, and then expand that out so that we could actually associate more of our customers with these segments. So from just 4,000 surveyed, we were able to attach segmentation to about 900,000 of our active iStock customers. And it took us from a 50% segmentation accuracy to an 80% segmentation accuracy just by using the Mintigo enriched data. Those real numbers, people. List buys. Everybody knows list buys. How does Mintigo help us with list buys? Here's your traditional list buy. Again, very static. Here's how we do list buys with Mintigo. So we, of course, start with static stuff, but now we layer in all the Mintigo indicators. And then Mintigo can go out and they can curate a list of companies that we don't already market to or aren't already customers of ours. Not only that, they can give us people, phone numbers, titles of people in various organizations within the company. And actually, the last time I gave this presentation, we actually didn't have results, but now we do. Yay. So you actually believe me. So average performance of our list buys, historically, about 3% of purchased leads turn into an order, which is actually pretty high for a list buy, honestly. That went to 10.3% using the Mintigo list buy. So, I mean, that's huge, right? I mean, if you could think about that from a salesperson's perspective, I'm touching a lot more customers because of that, my velocity is faster, and I'm making more money. And not only that, but average order value of these orders also increased. They were 66% higher with the Mintigo list buy than they were with our traditional list buy. So not only were they converting better, but they were spending more money. That's good, I think. I don't know, I'm just a marketing ops guy. So custom indicators. So you all know the predictive companies are tracking all of this data. A lot of them do it proprietarily. Some of them have data partnerships. Some do both. One of the things that Mintigo did with us is, we're an image company. So we want to know, hey, if we're reaching out to a company, it would be great to know how many images are on their website. And not only how many images are on their website, where did those images come from? Can I give like a share of wallet of images on the website? So Mintigo created an indicator for us, scraped our prospects' websites, and would come back and tell us how many images were from Getty, how many images were from our two main competitors. Super helpful. And then not only that, and I don't know if you can really see this, but we surfaced that to sales. And so we use dynamics. So this is like me chiseling on a tablet, basically. And we're in the middle of switching to Salesforce, so we're not that bad. So you can see the highlighted ones there. Are they a Shutterstock user? Are they well, Fotolia is actually Adobe. But are they a Fotolia or Adobe user? And also, you can also see here probably the number of images on their site is on there too. And so what the reality is, a lot of our customers have images from lots of different companies. And so, but the salesperson historically hasn't really known that, right? It's like, oh, they're a customer of mine, so I'm doing well. They didn't know that, 50% of the images on their website actually don't come from us. So that's actually a big opportunity for me as a sales guy. How much more time do I have, by the way? Anybody know? Does it go till 1 or just 12:45? Okay, so let's do this here. Adobe plugin, we did another, so Mintigo had a indicator for us about Adobe users. So we did, and Getty has an Adobe plugin. So you can actually, if you're using the Adobe suite and you have a Getty account, you can just kind of seamlessly bring in imagery. So we did a test, and we did an email test to the people that had that indicator and the people that didn't. So you can see our rates were 10 to 20% lower when we sent to a non-target that didn't have that indicator. So that was another positive thing for us. Additional intelligence to sales. So this is my wingman scenario. I'm going to advance to, again, this is what we call a decliner lead. So it hasn't churned yet, but they're declining in activity. We send sales probably too much information, but as much information as we can. Like, what was their last purchase? How much are they declining? How much did they spend last year? I mean, we give them as much information as we can to kind of provide that additional intelligence. And for our standpoint, this is stuff that we actually want to put into Sales Coach. We just haven't implemented it yet. And so when we do implement Sales Coach, it's some other information that we can put in there that kind of will curate that for sales and have all that information just kind of at the ready for them. I'm not going to spend a lot of time on this because I do want to get to the end, but Getty, just know Getty uses Mintigo primarily for, or I'd say our most important lead sources are our existing customers. So Mintigo works really, really well for us on net new, but we focus on existing customers. And so we do use Mintigo with existing customers. I want to get to an example where we took a campaign that was primarily a lead campaign. We would say, it was actually the decliner one. And we'd say, any decliner, we just send right to sales if they meet a certain threshold. And what we did is we introduced a nurture series into it, but what we did, is we used Predictive to figure out which customers will, again, transact electronically and which ones actually need a sales touch. And so we would split them based on the score on either of those. And so identify the potential opportunity with an existing customer, only send them to sales if the person is not as likely to convert on their own. And the results were 10% increase in revenue per customer for the scored split group versus the holdout group. And then an 18% increase in unassisted revenue. And then the big one, 117% increase in unassisted orders for customers for the group that was predicted as unassisted. So you can see we actually were able to make that work, predicting who actually would convert electronically and who actually would need a sales touch. And so we actually have stuff working today. Credit. All I'll say here is salespeople not having credit terms for a customer and requiring 2 to 3 days to get those terms is an obstacle to a sale. So sales' challenge to us was, can we pre-authorize most of our customers for credit? So I don't have results for you here because we're right in the middle of it. But we are using Mintigo to build models of our best credit terms customers and then to actually use that model to apply predetermined credit terms to as many of our customers as we can to really kind of chop down that obstacle that was, sales is one of sales' biggest complaints. So let me pay this off for you guys. So what's working well? And I'm going to talk about what's working well, not just Mintigo, right? So I pay attention to this space because it's really interesting to me. So net new prospect scoring, profile building, list buying. Why does this work so well? Because it's using information that you don't have yourself, right? So net new prospect, maybe I only have an email address. Maybe I have nothing and I need to build a list. Predictive works incredibly well for this, especially if you have, you don't even need to have a simple product, you don't have to have a simple product model. You can have a complex product model. You can build multi-product models from a scoring perspective. Predictive works really well for net new. And if net new is one of your top priorities, you should be using Predictive. I can't say this for all vendors, but Mintigo is definitely not a black box, and some of the other platforms are not a black box as well. That was important to Getty because we actually have data scientists on our team, and we want them to be able to kind of pick things apart. We want them to understand why does somebody get scored higher here or lower here. So it's important not to have a black box that's doing the scoring. I cannot underestimate the amount of value we've received from data enrichment. So if your situation was anything like what I described, where you've been relying on self-reported data, data enrichment will only help you and will help you immensely. I recommend data enrichment, especially for companies like ours who've been collecting data for 20 years and never really did anything about cleansing that data or keeping it true. And then, of course, the additional intelligence for sales. When I first saw Sales Coach, and I'll just be honest, man, if I was a salesperson, I would really like this. And I know Mark, who sells for Mintigo back there, VP of Sales for Mintigo, who introduced me. He's got use cases where he's walked in and been able to use it in a sales pitch with information that is so incredibly accurate for the company he's pitching to. They're just sitting there like, that's a little creepy, but I like that you know that about me because that means I can know all that about my customers. So it works. And it's just a really nice way of presenting that information to sales and a really nice way to help sales send prospects the right content, right, based on what that need is. So we all have so much content now, and so many different objection reasons or things like that, really narrowing that down and being able to give that person the right piece of content right after my conversation with them, and Sales Coach helps with that. And then it just really supports, if anyone's doing ABM, Predictive incredibly supports an ABM approach, and especially when you think about it from like a list buying, list curation perspective. Like not only this company is a good fit for me, but even at Getty, we know there's not just one department in a big company that needs our services, our products. There's probably a lot. And so how can we kind of use this to really surround them and find people from different organizations and really do that coordinated approach? Predictive really helps with that as well, especially when you combine the scoring on an account perspective plus the profile building and then finally that list buy, and you're getting people that you can reach out to in different parts of the organization. What's not working? What we're seeing is people are having a hard time operationalizing the process. And so we might have a really good model, it's scoring people well, it's working well, it's tested well, but now how do I actually get this all working in an automated way? How do I set my thresholds? How do I get the APIs working well? How do I make sure I'm serving the leads to sales in the right time? That's, I think, where some people are starting to get a little bit sticky. How do I really make this work? Adoption. I wouldn't say this is a huge obstacle. But when I talk about adoption, I'm talking about adoption from a sales perspective. And so you really need to be obviously in sync with sales on this, because if you just go to sales and say, that guy's an 89, and sales is like, bullshit, I don't know why you said he's an 89. If there's a perception with sales that's different from what your data is telling you, which we are in this situation right now, adoption is an issue. And so this is one where, I mean, I'm not giving advice, but focusing on adoption and really kind of sticking with sales through the entire process so that they don't have an objection reason, so they understand what's going into the scoring and why this person's an 89. And also, not only that, but give me a way to give you feedback on a pretty consistent basis. Helps drive adoption. And then it's not for every business model. I'm not talking about the full business model. There's a place for every business, but I'm saying maybe there's a nuanced kind of play, or there's a nuanced product that you have, or there's a nuanced segment of your audience you're trying to attack. Predictive might not work. So you need to adopt a testing and learning approach with predictive. And sometimes the best minds will have people from my team, and Tal, who's the co-founder of Mintigo, we're all in there talking together, come up with this great idea, and we think it's going to work. We're going to send you a bunch of our data. You're going to use that as indicators, and then we realize, oh, it didn't work at all. But then there's these other things that can work. And we just needed to bring in this other data, and we were looking at it from the wrong perspective. So the other thing is partnership with your partner, I guess. That's really critically important. So the more Mintigo learned about our business, just the better the relationship became, and the better our models became, and the faster we were able to get through things. And so for us, that was a big win. I'm not going to stand up here saying, like, I am the expert at predictive and I know exactly how to implement, but, phase the approach. Don't take a big, just don't try and take a big chunk at once. But you can say this about almost any kind of big undertaking, right? You want to phase it, you want to get some quick wins, you want to make sure people are with you. But this one, I would say, if you're looking for a vendor, if they don't want to do a POC with you, I mean, this is easy stuff to do a POC with, right? Give me some data, score it, do some back testing. You don't have to integrate, you don't have to do all this crazy stuff. But if a vendor doesn't want to do that with you, I mean, there's a reason for that. Whoa, is that me? I already said that. Start with quick wins. I already said this too. Bring in sales and marketing. And then I'd say building models is really just the beginning. And as you can see, all the different ways we've been using Mintigo and using our partnership with Mintigo, there's just more. Don't think of it as just predictive scoring. There's just so much more you can do. And a good example of that is the credit thing that we're doing. And then again, the platform and the partner should really know your business. So the more time you can spend getting them understanding your business, what's the nuance about your business versus others, how do you differentiate yourself from the competition, that only makes the model building, the work together, that much better. And we realized that fairly quickly, and that really helped us in our journey. Whew. I'm out of breath. I've taken you all 10 minutes over my time. I thank you for staying, but I do want to open it up for if anyone has any questions now. I'll stay around for a little bit if anyone has any questions afterwards. Please stop by Mintigo's booth, MME06. When you come in, it's kind of like, take a little bit like a 45-degree angle to your right. Great guys. I implore, if anyone is in the market for this, has questions about it, stop by and have a conversation with them. Great people to talk to. I'm not just saying that. Thanks. Any questions while I'm up here? Otherwise, just kind of mingle around a little bit. Great. All right, thanks, guys. Thanks for your time.